What's up, y'all? I'm bringing a different video for you guys today. Before I even start off by saying anything, I got these sunglasses on because of my eye, but that's besides the point. I'm bringing a different video to you guys today because this may be able to help somebody break through. This may be able to help somebody, feel more at ease knowing that, hey, somebody else went through this too. And, I'm going to be opening up to you guys about my story. And this is something that I've never opened up to, like, even people who have been very close to me. Like, maybe I would open up here and there to a couple people about, some things that, I went through, but I never fully opened up to, especially a large audience about, my story, what I've been through up until this point. And to some of you guys, it may be very shocking. Not saying that I came from nothing and, here I am. Nah. But first of all, I don't know how long this video is about to be. I never really took the time to share my story with people. So it's going to take time for me to condense it. But, I'm going to just lay it all on the table for y'all. And it kind of might be like all over the place because, like I said, I never really like told my whole story before, so it kind of might be just like all over the place. But bear with me, just pay attention to the message. So I'm gonna start off from the beginning, really. If any of you guys know me watching this video, if any of you guys have been close to me, if any of you guys know my family life growing up, this may be shocking to you. But, for those of you who do know me or do have an idea of me, you know that I grew up with both of my parents. You know that my parents have been together, ever since. You guys know that I lived with my parents ever since I was young. And I lived with my brother as well. And it's just crazy because, from the outside looking in, people would look at my life and be like, Jasmine, your life is perfect. You have both of your parents in your life. You live with your brother. You live with both of your parents. Your parents are still together. They love you. They support you. They go out of their way for you. And, just looking at my life from the outside, yeah, it does seem perfect, right? Yeah, my parents always made sure that I had not only everything that I needed, but everything that I wanted too. But you guys have to understand that it's not only about the things. And what you have to understand more than anything else is that you don't know what happens behind closed doors. You don't know what people are going through behind closed doors. And that's the biggest thing. Because, yeah, people looking at my life from the outside, they see that my parents are together. They see that I have all of this stuff. And, anytime that I would talk to people and I'm like, oh, I'm going through some shit at home, this and that. And they're like, oh, please, your life is perfect. Like, what is there to complain about? But it's like people really don't understand. And I went through a lot growing up, guys, like in my home life. And, that put a lot of weight on me. And it caused me to be the person that I am. Now, I'm not trying to use that as an excuse because I'm becoming aware of this. I'm becoming aware of why I am the way I am in certain aspects. And, with that clarity, it gives me the opportunity to, be able to work through it in a different way. So, just to dive into it some more, ever since I was I have to say 10, 11, 12, around there, my mom was an alcoholic. And if you've ever lived with an alcoholic, if you've ever been around an alcoholic, it's tough, guys. It's tough living with an alcoholic. And, this is something that not only myself, but, everybody in my household, we dealt with this for years. Literally years. And it got to the point where This was kind of like a routine. Like at nighttime, it's like you could always expect it to happen. Once night hit and my mom started drinking, my parents would start arguing. And for me, that created a lot of fear. That created a lot of like tension. And it was so bad to the point where, like, once nighttime hit, I didn't even want to go to bed, because I was like, well, like, what if my parents start arguing and fighting, and they start putting their hands on each other, or it's just a lot of deep dark shit. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but my mom would drink every single night and my parents would argue every single night. Routine. Like, you could always expect it. And sometimes it got physical. Sometimes me and my brother had to be there to break it up. And even recently, this is something that, it's better now. My mom hasn't been drinking for 3 years, but up until 3 years ago, I dealt with this. Not only me, because I know that my mother, she been through so much growing up, but everybody in the household, it took a toll on us. And a lot of the times when my parents would get into these arguments, they would be like, oh, well, like, I'm done with you, I'm leaving you. And like, when you're literally hearing your parents say that, like, I remember we would go to the casino like every weekend. And if you guys ever been to Mohegan Sun, you guys know that little area, CyberQuest. It's where the parents drop off their kids so that they can go, like, gamble, do their thing, have fun, whatever. And my parents would drop me and my brother off at CyberQuest while they would, like, gamble, drink, whatever. This was like every weekend. And I remember they would argue a lot on the way home, and I would be in the back seat and they're up here in the front arguing. And it's like, oh, well, I'm done with you, like, we're not, why are we even together, this and that. And it's just like, as a young child, hearing your parents say that, like, I think that's where my insecurity stemmed from. Because that's another part of my story. Like, growing up all of my life, I've been so insecure in every aspect of my life. Like, I just always felt like I wasn't good enough. And if you guys know me, you guys know that I've played basketball pretty much all my life growing up, and I was pretty damn good. Not gonna lie, I was pretty damn good. But I always had people say, like, Jasmine, you need to be more confident in yourself. And it's like, okay, like, I hear this, I hear my coaches saying this to me, I hear my parents saying this to me. Okay, I need to be more confident in myself. But it's like, how do I become more confident in myself? How do I believe in myself? And it's like, that's something that we're told, like, oh, you need to have more confidence, you need to believe in yourself more. But it's like, how? We're not taught the how. We don't know how to do it. They're just saying, oh yeah, do this, you need to do this. Okay, but how do I do this? I didn't understand the how. And I would just always have these doubts in my mind that, like, oh, what if I can't do this? What if I'm not good enough for this? What if this happens? And it's just like, I had so many negative thoughts. And I was always just so insecure. I was always so worried about what people thought of me. And just so much shit. And I never understood why I was so insecure growing up. And this is still something that I'm stepping out of. And the changes that I've made up until this point are drastic, but I'm still not where I want to be. But I've been stepping out of my insecurity. I'm not fully there yet, I'm not gonna lie, but I'm getting there. And I understand how to work my way through it in a better way. And it's tough, because you just feel like you're not worthy. and you don't feel like you're, it's just like this feeling of worthlessness in a way. And I never understood why I felt that way. And this reflected in all aspects of my life. I just didn't feel good enough, period. And it showed. But I also didn't understand, like, for instance, with relationships. It's like I noticed these same patterns, like whenever I would talk to somebody, whenever I would, get serious with somebody, I would notice these same patterns in the way that these people would treat me. And it's like I kind of fell back to that victim mentality, like, oh, it's them, it's not me. Like, I have good intentions. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not out here, doing something that would make somebody else want to come at me crazy. So it's like I always put the blame on the other person, and I kind of just made it seem like, oh, it's not my fault. It's not my fault why, they're out here doing this and they're out here doing that. It's like I always put the blame on the other person. I never looked myself in the mirror and said, hey, look, maybe I'm contributing to this in somehow, some way. Even though I didn't understand, but I never looked myself in the mirror and said, you know what, Jasmine, maybe you're the reason why, some of these things are happening. That thought never occurred to me because, I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't. And, up until recently, I just questioned, like, why certain things kept happening in my life, why certain situations kept appearing in my life. It was just like this circle. It's like just repeating. It's just like repeating the cycle. And I didn't understand until, last year, last November 2019, I went through my first spiritual awakening. And I'm not going to go too deep into that. If you don't know what a spiritual awakening is, look it up. I'm not going to go too deep into that, but I started to become aware of myself and just the universe and everything, energy, why things are the way they are, just becoming more aware, more conscious on a higher level. And I understood that the energy that I put out, the thoughts that I put out, the vibration that I'm putting out is what I'm getting back. And like I said, I didn't know what I didn't know back then. But back then, I was putting out particular thoughts, energies, vibrations that were attracting those experiences into my life. And it's just like, if you notice a certain pattern that keeps repeating in your life, you need to take a look at your thoughts. You need to take a look at your feelings. You need to take a look at the words that you're speaking. You need to take a look at your actions, because everything is energy, y'all. And I'm not going to go too deep into this, but this is something that can really help you break through if you understand this. Like, if there are certain situations that keep reappearing in your life, first of all, there's a lesson to be learned in that. And until you learn the lesson that you need to learn from that particular situation, it's going to keep repeating itself. But that's what I didn't understand. And, I came to that realization that, like, yo, I've been putting out this particular energy, this particular frequency for this amount of time. And, it kind of makes sense as to why certain things kept appearing in my life. But, just growing up, guys, like I said, I didn't come from nothing. Yeah, I grew up with both my parents. Yeah, my parents loved me, and, they were there for me, and they made sure that I was straight, with, just necessities. Having a place to live, clothes on my back, food on the table, all that good stuff. I mean, like, yeah, there were times where we had to, eat leftovers and shit. Ramen noodles, all that good stuff. But, I never really had to worry about where my next meal was going to come from, But, my story is mainly just about, struggling with insecurity and, growing up with an alcoholic mother and, and an alcoholic father, and, just a lot of violence and, just a lot of insecurity. And I really think that, My insecurity stemmed from the fact that I heard my parents at a young age always say, oh, we're gonna get a divorce. Like, you guys don't understand how many times I heard my parents say, we're gonna get a divorce. Into as a kid, when you hear that hurts you. That hits deep, because those are your parents. You don't want to see your parents separated. That's as a child, that's one of your biggest fears. And when you don't have that sense of security in your childhood, it continues on into your adulthood. And that's why it's so important to really take a look back at your childhood, because so many times we sit here and say, like, oh, my childhood was fine. My childhood was fine. I never really went through anything crazy. But you really have to take a deep look at yourself today, right now, and figure out, maybe there was something that happened in my childhood that is affecting me today. But you have to look back to really understand. And